Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Jane Schoettle. I'm the lead programmer for special presentations, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the world premiere screening of Nightbitch, directed by Marielle Heller. We are pleased to present this film at the Visa Screening Room at the Princess of Wales Theatre and thank Visa for making this possible. A sincere thank you to our presenting sponsor, Rogers, and our major sponsors, RBC and Visa, for their continued support. We would like to thank our government supporters, the Government of Ontario, Telefilm Canada, and the City of Toronto. The Special Presentations program is made possible through the generous sponsorship of TikTok. This film is eligible for the People's Choice Award presented by Rogers. Vote for your favorite films at tiff.net/vote. And we would like to thank Searchlight Pictures for providing us with this film. Thank you very much. Marielle Heller is an award-winning writer-director of such notable films as The Diary of a Teenage Girl and TIFF Festival favorites, Can You Ever Forgive Me? And A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Tonight's film is based on the best-selling 2021 novel of the same name and brings us a profoundly original exploration of motherhood and identity, weaving drama, comedy, and significant elements of magic realism into an audacious and important film, examining those aspects of motherhood, both dark and darkly humorous, of which we rarely speak. Nightbitch is destined to be one of the most talked about films of the year, and at its core is one of the most unself-conscious, fearless, and madly intelligent performances of the year. A performance for which Amy Adams will receive the TIFF 24 Tribute Award for Performance tomorrow night. It will undoubtedly be just the first of many accolades to come for this creative team. We're pleased to come back after the screening to have some conversation with our guests, but please join me in welcoming back to Toronto, Marielle Heller.
I made it. Hi, everyone. I'm so pleased to be back at TIFF for the third time. You guys are the best audiences, it's true. 5 years ago to the day, I was here with my Mr. Rogers movie, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And the year before that, I was here with Can You Ever Forgive Me? It really does feel like coming home to be able to present this movie for the very first time. This is the world premiere of Nightbitch. I just never get tired of saying the name of this movie. I want to thank, first of all, TIFF for having us. You guys are just the best. I want to thank Searchlight, a wonderful home for this film, who have supported us through the weirdness of this movie the whole time. And Anna Perna, who brought me into this project and have just been such wonderful partners. I want to bring out some of the wonderful people who worked on this project and made it happen. First, I want to bring out the author, Rachel Yoder, of the book Nightbitch. Wearing the best dress ever. Two of our littlest stars who will win your hearts, Arleigh and Emmett Snowden. Please join us on the stage. Playing their father, the wonderful Scoot McNairy. Scoot! And our all-female producing team, Ann Carey, Sue Naegle, and the two who couldn't be here tonight, Stacey O'Neill and Christina O. And our producing partner, collaborator, and the star of this film, Amy Adams. This is a deeply personal movie for a lot of us up on this stage. We really poured our hearts and guts and blood into this movie, so we hope that you love it and take it in the spirit with which it was made. And Arleigh and Emmett wanted to say one thing.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
You guys have gotten heavier.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
We hope you enjoy Nightbitch. And we'll be back for a Q&A after the movie.
Thanks, everyone. We're really pleased that we have a couple of minutes to have some on-stage conversation with our guests. Please join me in congratulating and welcoming Marielle Heller.
Thank you. I want to take a moment to introduce some people who are in the audience, some of my collaborators who made this movie with me. Can you stand up when I say your name? Brandon Trost, my wonderful cinematographer. Our third movie we've made together. Where are you?
I don't know. There.
My brother and composer, Nate Heller, also the leader of Book Babies.
Book Babies.
Our wonderful line producer, Allison Rose Carter.
Right there.
Our exec producer, Adam Paulson. And members of our cast who are here, Adrienne Rose White. Thank you, Adrienne. And Archana Rajan. Archana. Thank you. And now we can bring the rest of our cast out here for our Q&A. You know them. Just come on out. And Rachel Yoder.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that's enough. So Rachel and Marielle, I wanted to ask you about the process of adaptation, right? Going back to how did you find the novel and what was your process about?
The way this book came to me was actually Amy and Sue Naegle from Annapurna sent it to me before it had been published. And so I got to read an earlier manuscript of it. And I really didn't expect to love it, but it spoke to me so deeply that I basically asked if I could adapt it.
Excellent. And so Amy, how did you find it? How did it get into your hands?
Same. Sue Naegle approached me and asked if I would read it. Thank you, Sue. And I just so deeply connected to the narrative that Rachel created. It was so unique and so singular and just something I'd never read before. I knew that I wanted to be a part of bringing this to the screen.
Rachel, did you ever think your book would become a movie?
I thought I wrote a really weird book
You did.
You did.
that no one would read, frankly. So yeah, it was really surprising then when this is what happened. Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. If I can dig down a little bit, maybe, Amy, you could speak to this. Why do you think our society just can't talk about these aspects of motherhood that are darker and harder and
Honestly, I don't know. And I think that's one of the wonderful explorations of the film is this isolation that comes from that. And the transformation of motherhood and parenthood. It's something that is a shared experience, and yet it isn't shared. And so it's such a gift to get to be a part of sharing that with you all and getting to share it through the process of creation, of making the film.
yeah.
I also think just in general, we're not very comfortable talking about female rage. It's not something that we tend to share with each other or talk about, and that we're sort of afraid of women at this phase of our lives.
Yes.
So it felt really good to kind of take this invisible experience that a lot of us have gone through and make it more visible.
Absolutely, and I think please. One of the strengths of the film, one of its many, many strengths, is this balance of that rage with the humor that you find and the absurdity at times and all of that. And I wonder, how did you navigate that?
I don't know. I think the most painful things in life are all pretty funny. So I tend to kind of try to have every aspect of every scene have some balance of something dark and funny.
Yeah.
I think that's how I cope in my own life with things that are painful. So it's just the lens through which I see things.
Did I read somewhere that you and Amy had small children around the same time?
We have relatively, but when I was writing this, I was really postpartum with my second kid. So our firsts are closer in age, but my second was a newborn baby, and I was home right after the pandemic had ended. My husband was off making a TV show, so I was totally alone with 2 kids for the first time and just writing this during the naps.
Yeah. So it sort of wrote itself.
Yeah, it was very cathartic. Okay. My husband was terrified when he read it.
And that brings us to Scoot. An island of testosterone in a sea of estrogen. One of the things I love about your portrayal is watching the arc of this character. He really becomes, you see him struggle with his own ideas of parenting and the relationship that they have. And I wonder what you drew upon, perhaps.
Great question. The one thing I did learn doing this movie is don't mansplain motherhood. This experience for me was beautiful, just to go through it with these incredibly talented women. But just sharing the stories with each other about our own personal experiences with kids and life and our partners, and just all of it was just an eye-opening experience for me.
I found it very poignant when you said, "What happened to us?" And I think that's something that so many couples understand. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot of confusion in relationships. And I feel like this film really helps to explain a lot of that. So I hope that all you guys learn all the things that I learned, which is shut up and listen.
Scoot does such a beautiful job of making this character so well-rounded. I mean, we talked a lot about how the husband is not an asshole. He's not intending to not get what's happening to her, but there's so little time to even discuss what's happening in your brain when you're parenting that he's clueless to what she's experiencing and going through, and he really does think he's doing the right thing. It's easier to not really pay attention to how bad the rage is, but he just does such a beautiful job, I think, because he's such an empathetic person and a wonderful father, and he really does understand all of the nuances that happened with it. This is a very difficult part to pull off, and he does it so beautifully.
He does. This may seem a little bit off kilter, but we had
After this, and what's off kilter? I mean, Jesus.
This is, yeah, it's about the dogs. Right? We had discussions in the office. Those are CGI. No, those are real dogs. And so can you talk a little? They're so important, and their personalities and their physicality to her evolution. Can you talk a little bit about
They're
that?
all real dogs.
Darn.
We had, I think, 12 dogs on set with 12 trainers, all hiding in bushes. Because that's how you work with dogs on set. It's crazy. We spent a long time casting the dog that was Amy. That's actually like a beautiful story because we were looking for a reddish husky and we couldn't find one, and so they ended up adopting Juno, who they found in a shelter in California, and trained her for many months before we shot the film. She was just the most gorgeous, incredible dog. But there was one moment on set that I really think back on when people ask me how crazy was it to work with dogs. There's a scene where Amy walks down the steps to all the dogs in the yard. Yeah. And we had practiced with the trainers over and over again. Okay, she's gonna start on this step, and then she's gonna walk down, and you're all gonna start swarming around her. And we did it over and over and over again. And then it was like, okay, Amy, we're ready for you. Come on out. This is what we're gonna do. But of course, Amy's acting when she does it. So she's like doing this like weird face, like looking at the dogs and kind of going like this. And the dogs freaked out and started like lunging at her.
It took one dog. One dog was like, "That's not okay. That's not cool. I don't know what."
It almost ruined the whole shoot. And the trainers were like, "Oh, they thought she was stalking them."
Yeah.
It was like her behavior was too odd, and it flipped them. It was wild.
So, yeah, I freaked the dogs out on the set of Nightbitch. We got it under control. We took one off, the one that was like still not going to be okay with it no matter what I did, because he didn't trust me after that. So he got a rest the rest of the night.
You were a really good sport.
This is actually also one of the most believable mother-son relationships that I have ever seen on screen from the beginning, the first frame. And so I wondered, now we've met them.
Aren't they just they're so precious.
They are precious.
Yeah.
Are they still here, or did they go to sleep?
Yeah.
They went to sleep.
They should. Yeah.
Are they here? They left, but you're here, so.
Okay.
Awesome. Oh, cool.
Did you have to spend a lot of time with them beforehand? I mean, can't really rehearse with children.
Well, Mari spent a lot of time kind of integrating them into the idea of sort of play as acting. And so a lot of what we did was incorporate play. And it's one of those things that really was such a community on set, because there are times when I have to be actively ignoring him and he still is engaged with me. And that was such a big part. It was Mari, it was our first AD. We had people all over. We had a wonderful family. Their family was supporting us being off camera. So it really was a community of people just working in this environment. Mari did such a great job of creating really a play environment, and we all just became sort of friends on set. So they're just the best, and they were so lovely to work with and so much fun. I mean, it just gets you right back to this real sort of sensory place as a human being, to get to play with a toddler like that and to get to incorporate that into my work is such a gift.
Were you going to add something?
Well, I was just going to add that there was this great line in the script that I always remember, speaking of the mother-son relationship, where you write that they're sitting down at his little table to eat breakfast, and they sit in silence like an old married couple, or like a couple who's been married for many years. And I was like, oh, that's exactly it. Yeah, it was just a really beautiful line.
Thank you.
Are there significant changes from the novel to what we see on screen?
I mean, yes, because we're changing forms, right? So obviously it has to be different in a visual form. But for me, I feel like the essence of the book is in the movie. I feel like you totally got it. And it's kind of astounding how much you got it. And it's just such an honor to have had you make this. I'm so Thank you.
Rachel was like the most generous collaborator I could have ever had. I mean, she's so brilliant, but she also just gave me leeway to take this and make it into something new and bring my own life to it. We're both mothers of sons. I had a son of a very similar age as she did, and I brought all of my own, and it was such a mashup in the end of like our memories, where I feel like our memories have become intertwined of like, whose kid did this, whose kid did that, because it's like our mother stories, and Amy brought her mother stories, and Scoop brought his stories as a parent, and it just, I don't know, you've just been so generous, and it's meant so much to me.
You've brought your story here to us, and we're very, very grateful. I congratulate you all on one of the best films of the year.
Thank you.
Maybe
so much.
ever. Join me and please congratulate them.
Oh, I popped my dress. What happened? I did it. I did it. Beautiful, beautiful. I popped my dress. Perfect. I love that.
Thank you for bringing it here. Of course. Thank you guys for having me.